thank you for giving me this opportunity to have this conversation with you. I am super excited. We are going to have an amazing conversation with everything that just happening in this world. And I can imagine recruiting is playing a very important part of a very important role to help not just individual but businesses to get back in to their normal life things doing. And I'm very curious to know. Also, I'm very curious to know that how did you go to that career path? What led you there? What's made you decide like I'm gonna be a recruiter, and then here you are today with your own business?
Sure. Sometimes I think it's, having good mentors, right? So, when I graduated from college, I went to get my master's in human resources. I thought I was going to be in human resources. I really wanted to be an HR generalist. I worked for Target for 7 years. I was always a high performer, and I thought I was going to, have that path of HR. And I had this very important mentor. Her name is Dawn Carlson, and she was the vice president of the territory. And she just said, wow, you really just connect with people. You're a natural recruiter. I didn't even know what recruiting was. And so she promoted me to this position of a campus recruiter. And that's how I got my start. So basically, on behalf of Target Corporation, I would go to all these campuses, mostly in the city of Chicago, and just tell people like what a great, career you could have at Target. And really that's kind of what led me there. I kept thinking that my next roles were going to be an HR generalist or a senior HR BP, and my path just kept going to recruiting and growing into recruiting capacities. So and then I had a lot of people always tell me, you're really good at sales, but sales is scary, right? Luckily, my husband's in sales, so I saw what sales entails. And then just one day, it just kind of all came together where now I'm recruiting, but it's also sales and marketing, doing your own business.
Absolutely. So I know you like you just mentioned, you work for companies like Target. I think another one is Zones, if I'm saying the name correctly. And now, eventually, you're starting Haefner Consulting Staffing, which short for HCS. So how was that journey for you to say, I am going to leave everything behind. I'm leaving Target behind, I'm leaving it all behind, and I'm just going to do this on my own. How was that journey for you?
I had made it to the top, at Zones in my profession. I was the VP of talent acquisition, and that's what I thought I wanted the whole time, right? To be a leader. I had a team of 18 in the US and Canada. I worked for $1 billion organization out of Seattle. I was traveling a lot. Like I was really living my dream at the time. But what I found was, sometimes when you get to the top, you see things, right, that, like a lot of politics, or you do things like I was doing a lot of administration work and not what my core is, which is recruiting and connecting with people and trying to change people's lives by giving them their dream job, right? And so it was a really hard decision. It was about 10 months that I kind of contemplated, what do I want to do? Because I knew I didn't want to continue to do that, even though I was good at it. And, in my role, I would partner with a lot of recruiting agencies, right? And I'm like, I can do that, right? And I have a lot of relationships that I've built over my career for, years and years and years. And I just said, what, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it now. I'm going to give myself 6 months. If it goes well, great. And if not, I can go back and do what I've always done. And I've not turned back. And it's been the best thing I've ever done.
Imagine if you didn't even give that a try. Imagine if you're like, well, I'm here, I'm VP, things are moving. Why leaving it? It's paying me well money. It's a big company. Why do I need to go start something small? You will never know the experience, the things that will come behind it. I guess as women, we like to take chances. So.
Yes. And I heard a great quote that says, best things in life are on the other side of fear, which is really true. And I've tried to teach that to my kids too, when they're just afraid to try. And it's like, you don't know what's going to happen, but if you don't try, you'll never know. And it literally changed my life.
Absolutely. And I know you everything changed because you really have a passion for recruiting. But what factors that actually play behind that say that enough? Because sometimes we have that thing, that trigger that just trigger enough. It's like, this is it, I'm done. Yeah. I'm just going to go do this.
I think it's balancing work-life balance and family. At that time, I had smaller kids. I think my son was 5. I mean, he used to role play with his trains, and he'd be like, "Oh, mommy, bye, you're going to Seattle again," and it was very, very hard, and just the obligations that us as women have compared to men, even though my husband's great and, he is very involved and helps, it's different being a woman and the responsibilities that you have. And so I needed to be here. I needed not to travel as much, or at least me be the boss of deciding, when I was going to travel and, be a mom at the same time while, being a career woman. So I think that was the biggest factor. And it's provided me, I still work a lot, right? But at least, I'm here, I'm at home, and it provides me a lot of flexibility.
And now also that you make the schedule, you make that, you don't have someone else telling you, well, you got to be in Seattle at this time. You can't change it, even if your kid is sick. It is what
Yes.
it is. But at this time, you get to make the decision. You make the call of what you want to do. It's not somebody else.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So you have kids, and I know from personal experience starting WomLEAD, also I have a son, and that's one of the things that drove me to start WomLEAD at the beginning of it. What were the challenges and obstacles you faced when you started HCS?
I had to really rebrand myself. So, people always knew me as a corporate recruiter, right? I always worked for a corporation. I led a team. Agency is different, right? And, you have to hunt for new business and you have to market yourself differently. And you have to get your name out there and let people know that you've made a change, right? So I think that was, the biggest obstacle at first is marketing myself so that people knew this is what I'm doing now, so then I can obtain the business, right? And then after that, I mean, it's cold call after cold call after cold call, right? Trying to build your clientele, right? So like you said, you go from doing very well, having, a great salary, right, to then making $0, right? And having to build that back up again. And so that was the biggest challenge. So, but I'll tell you this, the effort that you put in, you will reap the rewards.
Absolutely. Now, can you tell us about HCS? What is it all about?
Sure. So Haefner Consulting Staffing, we're a recruitment agency and we work mostly with technology companies all over the U.S. So every major city, obviously I'm in Chicago, but, I staff in Seattle, San Francisco, even, Toronto, from coast to coast. And we help hire mostly salespeople, right? So it could be inside sales, but mostly enterprise salespeople that go for the, the big companies like the Starbucks and the T-Mobiles and so forth. And they sell any kind of technology. It can be software as a service, so SaaS solutions, managed services. It could be brands like Cisco, Microsoft, AWS, Google Cloud. We also staff leadership, so sales leadership, HR, talent acquisition professionals. So, I have a niche, right? But I can really staff anything, but that's my niche.
So you're just focusing mostly, would we say that corporations or, yes?
Yeah, corporations. So I would say that $1 to $3 billion is my sweet spot in terms of companies, but my largest client is a $100 billion company. And then I also work with startups. So typically about 100 million that have private equity backing funding, and we're helping them grow. And so that's kind of what's very exciting. There's been a couple of times that I've actually gone on site, especially pre-COVID, and I've been like, I've hired you and you and you and you. And it's really neat to see you help not just the people that you're placing, but these companies, thrive with the talent that you're providing them.
So you actually get to see them and like, I help you get this,
Yeah. And it's also very rewarding because sometimes I've had candidates that accepted jobs tell me that I've changed their life. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And it's that's obviously you do it for a lot of different reasons to provide for your family and your career, but that's really why I do it, is to help people, right, and change their lives, right? Better opportunities.
Absolutely. So it's the difference you're making in other people's lives, especially with COVID hate and a lot of people lose their jobs, and be able to actually help them get a job that they can provide for the family. It's mean a lot to them. I can imagine.
Yep. And that's exactly what happened during COVID, right? There were a lot of layoffs initially going on. And luckily, because I'm in technology, there were still a lot of companies hiring. And some of the best companies and the smartest companies were hiring because they were maybe getting talent that they couldn't in the past because a lot of people were having hiring freezes. So, but then even now, it's very competitive. So now on the flip side, one, I'm helping companies, right, get people that they can't get on their own because it's so competitive out there. But then I'm still helping candidates because it is a candidate market right now. And I'm getting them, salaries or bonuses or sign-ons that they maybe wouldn't have gotten a year ago because it's so competitive.
I didn't think of it that way. You are absolutely right. Right now, it's their time. It's like we can negotiate this right here because you need me and I have what you need.
Exactly. And in the past, it's not been a candidates market, right? It was still tight, but right now it's a good time for candidates.
Would you say that when you are helping them, I know you're working for the company that's looking for the candidates, but do you also build that some sort of connection with that candidate that you're trying to get to that position as well? Like in the middle of the two, do you play a big role in each one of them? I will imagine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of the middleman, right? Like obviously I work for the company and I usually work for several companies at the same time, right? Some different, right? And if I don't place them, with that company, let's say that, they didn't make it, right? Or they were second string, I still work with the candidate and, try to find them a home. So.
Okay. So do you also help the candidates by, if the resume is not the proper way or things like that, or you outsourcing that to a different company to help them with their resume or things like that?
So both, right? I obviously see resumes every single day. So I give some quick tips, right? But if they really want like a rehaul, right? Or to really bring something out, then I have resources that I outsource to them and they can decide if they want to utilize them.
So you don't provide that services yourself where you will charge them to say, hey, I'm going to help you do that.
Right, exactly. I have like a partner and that's their business, right? So we kind of all help each other. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love it. It's helping one another. So I know that you help companies get what they're looking for, the right employees, the right staff member. So what are the key services that you HCS offers to corporations other than just recruiting?
So recruiting and staffing is probably the biggest ask, right? But it could be anything, consultative, right? Maybe if someone wants to implement a campus recruiting program or a diversity program, I actually get a lot of ask on diversity programs and finding talent and how do you find talent and female and diverse candidates. That's another real big one outside of just normal staffing. Military programs, right? If you want to connect with veterans, if people want to know about kind of implementing a new HRIS system like a Taleo or something like that, right? A applicant tracking system, I can help, consult there. Even building a team, right? I've built, recruiting teams, right? And what do you need and what is a part of that. So there's a lot of different services that, I can provide, but I would say staffing, like actually hiring the people, and then probably diversity are the big two.
The big two. So when you're doing hiring, is it like, do you do the whole process for them? Or do you just say, here's the candidate and somebody from that company will do the interviewing and things like that?
I talk with the hiring managers typically, and they give me the specs and the job description and the salary ranges, and then I go and hunt. So I am a hunter. That's why they call me a headhunter. And, I find, the purple squirrel, right? Because every hiring manager wants that perfect candidate. And then I present them, candidates, and then they decide if they want to interview them or not. If they do, then the company goes through the process with them, right? So I do the initial screening, making sure that they fit, that, they communicate well, that they're prepared, and then I give them tips, right, on the process and how to succeed, right? Because I want them to win as well. And then from there, there's a series of interviews, and then I come back. I follow them throughout the whole process, but I come back to do the offer and then close them and seal the deal.
Okay, so you kind of like you started and you don't walk away. You're still in the background, kind of watching it out, and then they take over in the middle right there. Then at the end, you come back out again, and said, "Here's what they would like to offer you."
Yep, and then I work on behalf of the candidate to negotiate and all of that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's exciting because in my industry, salespeople tend to negotiate, right? Because they're salespeople. But there's other industries where, oh, can I ask for more money? Oh, I really want this. You know what I mean? So I help guide them or give them the confidence. Or if they want like $50,000 more, I may say, that's a little high, right? I think we can counter here. So helping them that way.
So let's say that someone is working for Apple, as an example, and then there's a job opening with Google, and then they apply for that job, and Google said, yes, we want him, right? So now, what would be the percentage of increase that they can ask from what they are making with Apple now?
Great. So the good thing to know is, and this is really important for women and diverse candidates, is you do not have to disclose your salary. There are certain states that it's fine, but like California, even Illinois, New Jersey, there's laws against that. They took that question out of applicant tracking systems. Like you can disclose it if you'd like, but no one can force you to say here. And they do that for a reason, right? Because so many times women and minorities are underpaid, per, males or et cetera, right? So, if you'd like to disclose, that's great. A lot of times they disclose to me because I'm a third party and I want to get them the best deal. But if they're actually in an interview, it's up to them, right? I would say, it's got to be competitive, right? So let's say you're making $100,000 a year. You're not going to go for another job, that's $100,000 a year unless, something's really happening within the organization or you're unhappy or you're about to lose your job, right? I would say 110, 115, maybe 120, could be something. So I don't know what the percentage increase is, right? But, it is going to be significant. It's actually kind of sad because a lot of organizations have a lot of really good talent internally and they don't sometimes promote within internally. And sometimes it's easier to get that big increase when you leave a company than if you stay internally. So I think sometimes that's also a miss for corporations.
Wow, I didn't think of it that way. So pretty much if you said I will move to a different company, that company will give you more money for the experience that you have compared to the one you are still with.
Yeah, where some organizations, now if you get a promotion, that's different, but if you just are getting like a yearly increase for the same job, typically it's maybe 3 to 5%, you know what I mean? Where you might get a 10%, if you leave. But you have to evaluate, right? For some people, the grass isn't greener on the other side, or it's scary, or this or that. Sometimes more money doesn't make you happier, right? But sometimes, maybe you are being underpaid for the job that you're doing.
Exactly. So do you find, I know you meet a lot of people in the past few years being a recruiter. Do you find that women are underpaid compared to men?
I don't know if they're necessarily underpaid significantly. I don't have that data, right, to see what the organizations are paying compared to like the male or the female. I know when I place a female or a male, I tend to get them the same type of salary regardless, right? But yes, I think in general for a job, let's say someone's a solution architect, right? I do see when men tell me their salaries, it tends to be higher for the same job that a woman has, right? So I think we're trying and we're starting to break those barriers.
Will you say that it's because that woman asks for less compared to a man? They show up with that confident, like I'm worth $200,000. I'm about to ask for that $200,000 compared to a woman. Well, if I ask for $200,000, maybe I will not get it. Maybe my experience is not that good enough. Let me just ask for $100,000 instead. Would you say that's the problem?
I don't know if it's the problem, but I do see that in terms of like women, right? I talk to a lot of very successful women that have problems I don't want to say with confidence, but showcasing or being assertive or showcasing their skills or marketing themselves or saying I'm wonderful or self-promotion, right? Where I think it's a lot easier for men to do. And I've been encouraging a lot of women, including some of my friends, hey, you have to be your own promoter because no one else is going to, be that voice for you.
Absolutely. Well, all I can say is that thank you for supporting women because we need that support, we need that courage in other women that's actually doing it and been doing it. And that's pretty much behind the scene doing all these things. And you have been awarded staffing in industry analysis. It's like a global power 100 women in staffing. So can you tell us about that? How was the experience to actually be awarding for something you've been doing for so many years?
It was very, very exciting because I think I received that award in 2019, right before COVID, and I had been in the business or at my own company for 2 years. And, the qualifications were, how successful are you being, right? And so, I had to show financials and numbers and all that kind of stuff. And I was very proud to say, wow, in 2 years, you know what I mean? Look at what I've done. Like the clientele that I've built, right? And a lot of times we don't get paid unless we secure somebody. So you really have to be a hustler, right? It's not like people are just going to, give you money. Obviously, there's different ways that, we get paid. But most part, staffing agencies, a lot of it's contingency. So you could do the work, and if they don't get placed, you don't get the money. Right, you don't get the money. So to be able to build the clientele, service the clientele, and find them what they need, which is very difficult. Hiring managers, companies, they're not going to pay you, what they pay us because they have internal recruiting teams unless it's a necessity, right? And a lot of times they come to us when it's a very hard to fill position, location, very important position for the company for it to thrive, right? So that award was very important because it showed that in a small amount of time, with not having that experience being an agency, I was able to, level up, and it made me very proud.
Absolutely. For 2 years, you did a lot. For them to say that they're going to give you that award, that's mean you bust your ass off.
Exactly. And I really did, right? Building my team, building the clientele, finding the candidates. Like I said, even though I left, a nice job, and even though I have more flexibility, it's not that I'm working less, right? I'm just working for myself.
Actually, working for yourself, you are working more. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people that starting business do not realize, that you are working more because you're not counting the hours. You're not sitting in it's 5 o'clock, time to go. It's 8 o'clock, let's go to work. You're not doing that. So you eat dinner, after dinner, you probably take a shower and you have your laptop in your lap, you're sitting on the couch, you're still working. So yeah, you work a lot more hours.
Yeah, but like we talked about, the flexibility, I mean, it's key.
Yes, absolutely. So also, one thing that you said that I'm pretty interested in learning how that actually works, because you said that when you're working for the corporations to get the staff, you don't get paid until you actually place someone in that position. So what happens if you don't put someone in that position?
And that's tough, right? So we get paid in different ways, right? You can get retained where they, will pay you, right, a monthly retainer and then a percentage, right? You can negotiate a lot of different ways, but traditionally agencies, it's contingency. So it's kind of like, a lawyer, like if they don't win the case, you don't get paid. So it is rough because sometimes you are working on a job for 6 months and maybe you have a finalist and they don't get it. You don't get anything, right? But the good thing is you build, credibility with that company. You may get more jobs from them. Eventually, you will fill a position or that position, right? So you have to have a lot of things cooking and working with a lot of different companies and prioritizing, so that you do get paid.
One thing is that if you have staff, you have employees, and then if you're not actually bringing, they doing the work, but they're not getting the placement. So it's kind of like you're still paying that staff, but you're not getting paid from that company for all the work that just happened.
Yeah. So obviously I pay my employees differently, right? But in general, how we bring money in, that's typically how it works. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I have to, it is a lot of stress on your shoulders, right? Because you have to be closing, having clients, because other people are relying on you, right? As well.
It's almost like a sales job.
It is a sales job. Yes.
Because you need to make some sales to get paid here. No sales, no money.
Exactly. There you go.
Oh, this is interesting. So you also teach. Can you tell us about that experience of as a teacher?
Yeah, so I currently am not teaching, but I have taught in the past. And actually, I was going to be a guest speaker in April, but it got moved to this fall. DePaul University, which is a university in Chicago. It's a city school. For about 3 to 4 years, I taught as an adjunct professor in effective business communication. And it was great. It was mostly juniors and seniors. And basically, you taught them about message packaging, right? How to get someone to respond to your email. You started off by not saying I, me, but making it about them, right? Making sure that you have great subject lines to capture people's, attention. Make sure that it's succinct and that there's, a title and then sincerely. So, there's like a little psychology behind it, right? But it's very important for them for business skills, like moving forward. I even use it, still to this day within sales or when I'm reaching out to new clients or new candidates, right? Because we get so much communication every day and people just delete. It's like, how do you get your message across and someone, not just to read it, but to respond?
Oh, I love that idea. Yeah, that's one of the hardest thing because, even with me, I receive a lot of emails. I barely even read 80% of them.
Right. So, exactly. And then, especially in sales, right, or in what I do, it's very important that I have a good response rate, right? Otherwise, again, I'm not going to get business. I'm not going to get candidates to fill the roles, etc.
Exactly. So email play big roles in that.
Yes. I still do cold calling, right? That's kind of like an old way, but it still works, I think, kids these days are afraid of the phone, right? I think we all grew up on the phone and we knew that it was a very important tool, but now email is it's easier, right? Because you can spam, right? Or you can send thousands of emails as opposed to, 5 phone calls in the same time.
Yeah, but the email, I think it's good, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I feel like the old-fashioned way is still like the old-fashioned way I love the most was when you knock on the door. I'm here, I'm on your face, let's do business here.
Exactly.
So which we don't do anymore. And I think the more we are using emails, the less connection we are creating with people. And what's make people get connected is when we talk to them, when we share that knowledge with them, when we face-to-face with them, they get that connection with us. And us just sending an email is just an email. There's no connection there. There's nothing.
Right. That's why I love the phone, right? I love connecting with people. I love talking to people. I love learning about people. There's people that I'm friends with from being candidates, right? I might have not even placed them, right? But you talk to them, you learn the industry, the people in the industry. I'm almost like a real estate agent, right? When somebody gives me a requisition, they're like, find me someone in San Francisco. I know who to call. I pick up the phone or I text them because I either personally know them or know them from the industry to be, someone that's great, and you build a connection and a rapport, right? And so that's another reason people come to me, because of my connections, right? They know, okay, I need a vice president of operations. I know Melissa knows people in this industry and she's going to go get them.
Absolutely. So building that connection, it's still very important when it's come to business. We still need to build that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, relationships, I'll say it again, relationships, they're so important and they have to be genuine, right? I mean, one of the reasons that my business is successful is that I worked at all these different organizations and organically and genuinely built relationships with people that I still have today. I think people know my reputation. They know that I care about them. They know that I'm not just, gonna fill a position to fill a position, right? They know me personally in my work. And if not, my reputation follows me, so they'll recommend me to somebody if I don't personally know them.
So they know you value what you do, and whatever you are doing, you are going to give them your best.
Exactly, and be responsive. And because, so many people nowadays, you may send an email and it takes 2 weeks sometimes to, get back. Like my motto is by end of day, I try to answer all my emails, right, and get back to people. Even though, I'm busy just like everybody else. So it's just courtesy.
Exactly, and I think another issue too I face a lot with I can't talk about it with men because I don't work with men often, but with women is the fact that they just want to stay behind that email, and a lot of time I find it a lot easier for me to have 5 minutes conversation with you, and I can answer everything you have compared to having that miscommunication by email where you don't understand everything clearly because it's just an email that you interpret in your own way and I interpret it in my own way, and we're just behind a screen just being aggravated with one another. So I think that's one of the things, as if we change with women in business, we probably will, our companies will be more successful, be able to just pick up the phone and have a conversation even for 5 minutes.
Yeah, one of the things that I like to do, and I have to get back out there and do that more because of, COVID, I would do client visits, right? So my clients are not just Chicago, but Boston, Dallas, Toronto, Seattle. They have headquarters everywhere, right? So pre-COVID, I was in Boca Raton, Florida, right? Obviously, thank God there's a lot of here in Chicago too, but I was really all over the country. I went last year, I went to Sonoma and visited a client. And it's really important, especially, when people were going into the workplace, to see the environment, right? It's different, a job spec or talking to the hiring manager, but I'm an extension of the company. I'm an extension of the sales team, and I need to be able to realistically talk about the company, the culture, the job. With one of the companies that I'm working with, right now, I actually interviewed somebody in the job today to say, hey, tell me what you really do on a day-to-day basis, right? So that I can realistically speak to it, right? So it's very important to, meet people, get out there, look at the environment and connect, right? And I think that's what we're all missing and lacking for a while. And we all have that desire to get back out there again.
Absolutely. I think we need to, because that human connection is still a very important part. That hug, that high, that's looking at each other in the face, I think it still play a big role in what we do.
Yeah, and there obviously I work in the tech industry and there's a lot of, innovative, tech stuff coming up, right? Which is great for jobs and businesses. But at the end of the day, you still can't replace employees. Employees and talent are very, very important to an organization and very needed. And you have to, find that right person.
Let's just say robot cannot replace us.
No. They try, but no.
Don't try it. It's not going to work.
Exactly.
So what are your future plans for HCS?
So my future, like right now I'm very niche, right? And I like my niche. I want to continue to grow the team organically, right? Which I have been growing, year over year. As I grow that, I think I can also expand into other niches, right? That, maybe logistics or, some other sectors, right? That right now I don't have the bandwidth to do. I want to continue to invest in technology, right? To be able to, find the right people faster, right? Than, what we can, today. So I would say technology and then, growing the team organically as well as different sectors of my business.
That would be a great expand with the technology, how to find people faster. I love that idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of new AI technology that's here, but still coming out.
Absolutely. What would be your advice for female founders that are just starting out?
Don't give up. Believe in yourself. Have confidence. It takes time and work. Give yourself the time, but put in the work. It's not easy. There are naysayers. I mean, when I left my nice VP job, people were like, why are you doing this, right? Like a lot of people question you, right? But you know why you're doing it, and you have to believe in yourself and keep at it, and you will be successful.
Great advice. Yes. Do not give up. You heard her. It's not me saying it.
Yeah, do not give up. Mm-hmm.
What would be your advice for HR professionals, people that's out there that's looking Because there's a lot of HR professionals out there that do not know really how the recruitment work or things like that. What would be your advice for them to actually be able to do their job the best possible way?
So, I always think that HR is separate of recruitment. They work together, and a lot of times recruitment is under HR, but they're different, right? So it's a partnership, right? I've worked for some great HR leaders, and I've worked for some not great HR leaders, and a lot of times it's because they think they know what recruiting is, and they don't, right? So it's a partnership, like you're working with finance, like you're working with marketing, right? Get to know, the team, get to know the business, get to know what they do and the support, right? One of the things that I find sometimes with HR, and it's not every HR organization, is they're a little bit more la-di-da-di-da, like lackadaisical, where recruiting is sales. Time is money. A good candidate is only on the market for 10 days, right? It's kind of like a hot house, You have to move, because if you don't, another company is moving, they're moving faster, and you're going to lose out on some good talent. So
stop blah, blah, blah and focus on the goal, and let's get it over with.
Let's go. Exactly. Time is money.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, thank you, Melissa, for being here with us today. I appreciate you the time and all the tips that you're giving and all the great work you are doing, because COVID hit us really bad. We're not expecting that, and a lot of people just went jobless. And be able to have someone like you in mind, it's played a big role.
Thank you. I just took a picture of you, and thank you for the work that you do, and I'm proud of you and your business that is thriving.